Okay, so as I said, there are two projects. One is the solution project, and the other one is the start project. So start project is basically, it just contains a readme text file. So this is the requirement you are going to follow to write the code. And then it just contains the pom.xml file that contains the pretty basic set of dependencies: JUnit, Hamcrest, and EasyMock. And we might actually try the Mockito as well. And we are using 1.8, but you can use 1.7 and 1.6 as well. And then I provided some directories. Okay, so basically we are going to write code by reading this functional requirement. So we have a mandatory requirement, and then we have the optional requirement. Okay, development guide. Develop the application using TDD style. So you can actually follow the TDD style, something that we have learned before. And make sure you follow object-oriented design principles and best practices, such as open-close principle, favor composition over inheritance, use interface whenever possible, and we are going to refactor the code along the way, handling code smells. Okay, so let's actually let me see if there are any questions. Hold a second. Okay, so all right, so we are going to actually read the first one. So it says something about domain classes. So it's basically employee HR system where we are going to provide employment payment, monthly payment, and charitable giving, pension plan, insurance plan, and things like that. So the first thing, domain classes. Employee has employee ID, first name, and last name field. Retiree has a first name and last name field. And there are two employee types. One is hourly employee, and the other one is a salaried employee. So we are going to write testing code first. I'm going to write the testing code of employee. So I'm going to write here new and class. So I'm going to call it employee test. Okay, so we don't have any employee class yet. Okay, so we are going to write our first test code. So test okay, so should employee should allow, yeah, I'm gonna just use say should allow employee to have employee ID. Okay, all right, so the first thing we have to do is we are going to write create the employee object, employee and new employee, like this. Okay, so we don't have an employee class, so we might as well create one. So create employee class. Okay, so src main Java here. And again, I usually like to have the test code on the left and target code on the right. Okay, so now what I want to do is employee should have employee ID. So maybe we should actually pass the employee ID through the constructor. So we're going to actually pass 10, something like that. And we are going to create a constructor, create constructor of employee ID. And this one should be employee ID. And we probably have to have employee ID, right? So private int employee ID, and we are going to set employee ID like this. Okay, and so we have, let's save all the changes. Okay, all right, so now we are going to actually make sure we get the employee ID back. Okay, so we are going to assert that employee dot, we probably want to have a get employee ID, right? So let's actually have a getter method. So Control Alt Shift S and select getters, generate getters and setters. I don't need setter, so I'm going to just choose a getter here. So we have a getter method. Okay, just remove this guy. So get employee ID and equal to should be 10 like this, and let's actually import the equal to, and let's save the change. And infinite test plugin shows that the testing has been successful. Okay. All right. So we also need to make sure employee has a first name and last name. Right. So let's actually have another. Let's just have this blank spaces removed. We are going to have should allow employee to have first name and last name. So I'm going to just copy this code. Alt Shift Control Alt Shift. Okay, and here we are going to say employee have first name and last. I'm going to give you guys to do this lab after I demonstrate this. So for now I want you to just kind of watch it, okay, and see how things actually flow, right? I don't want you to actually write code at this time because you're going to actually miss the points that I'm making, right? So I'm going to give you time to do a piece of the coding, the up to the point, so don't worry about the following me in terms of writing code at this point. Just watch. Okay, so this is a time that we want to have a before set up. So we're going to have a before, and we need to move this creation of employee up here. So Alt page up, and we are going to convert local variable to field. Okay, so we don't need to create this employee anymore here. And so here we have to actually create employee with first name and last name, right? So we are going to actually have a Sang as a first name and Shin as a last name. And we don't have that constructor, so we need to create another constructor in employee class. So we are going to create well, we might actually change constructor instead of having another constructor. So I'm going to actually change constructor like this. Okay, so this one should be first name, and this one should be last name. And here we are going to have this. Yeah, so we might as well have the first name field and last name field first. String first name and private string last name, and we are going to have a first name, and this last name. Okay, so save all the changes. Okay, all right, so let's see why this one is not having the constructor employee string is not defined. Yeah, sometimes the infinite test is actually a little bit slow in terms of, so in that case you're going to just make a change, and then infinite test will actually retest it, and it may show everything is working good. So so we have written a very simple testing code. So let's actually get back to readme.txt file. So employee has employee ID, first name and last name field. Oh, we want to actually check the test here. So this employee, yeah, so we want to actually check get. So we want to have a get first name and last name. So we are going to have generate getters and setters here, and we basically need just getters. And so we're going to just choose getters. Okay, and we want to make sure the getters first name, get first name equals to should be Sang, right? And we are going to, we might as well test the last name as well. So copy the line, and it should be last name should be Sang. Okay, so we have tested the requirement that employee has employee ID, first name, and last name field. The next one is retiree has first name and last name field. And this one I'm going to let you actually do it yourself. Okay. And then there are two employee types, hourly employee and salaried employee. And so we know that we might actually have to create the hourly employee, which is an extension of parent employee class. Same thing with the salaried employee. So let's actually move on to the next requirement. Hourly employees are paid hourly, while salaried employees are paid with monthly salary. The monthly payment for the hourly employee is computed by a number of hours worked in a month and then hourly rate. Okay. All right. So we're gonna actually do code up to this point. Okay. So here. This is employee test. Now we need to actually create the subclasses of hourly employee and the salaried employee. Okay, so let's. So here we are going to create hourly employee test. So new class. Okay, so why don't I actually stop right here since we have already 11 minutes past. So I'm going to actually. In the meantime, I'm going to add retiree class. So I'm going to new class retiree. Assert that retiree get first name equal to